Welcome to Realiteen Talks. Today's episode, Comparison and Body Image. Have a great group with us today. Team, welcome. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having us, Gary.
Thank you so much. So group, we would love to hear your thoughts, comments around this very relevant topic around body image, specifically comparisons in body image. So I guess my first question, why did we choose this to be a topic?
I think body image as a whole is a very huge topic in general just to talk about, and one that's very important. But I think comparisons and body image is also kind of specific, but kind of tackles a bigger issue. When you think of body image, you think, you look in the mirror and, someone might not see something that they like about themselves. Sometimes that can stem from them comparing themselves to someone who looks much different from them. Maybe a goal they want to look like. They don't look like that right now. And that can be hard for that person to deal with.
Yeah, I'll agree with her on that one. I feel like it's not only for like just in everyday life, but like especially now in this time, like because this year's been crazy enough with all kinds of different, the pandemic and all these new regulations that are happening. So I feel like that also that adds in another aspect of it. Just like, oh geez, what am I going to do? It's quarantine. How am I going to look when I go out? It's first time in months. It's just different for different people. And I feel like, especially now in high school too, because it's tough for everybody with high school and just in general. So yeah, I really agree.
I'm curious, love to hear your thoughts. This piece around comparison, where does this originate? What is there a certain grade where you feel this, when I really felt this comparison thing really took off?
I think, in elementary school, it's all about, recess and having fun and snack time and not wanting to take nap time, of course. It's all kind of really innocent. You get to middle school and, things kind of slowly start changing and, it's about yourself and other people. Your friend group might change and that kind of thing. But I think it really starts to hit like 8th grade or like freshman year, where people come back from somewhere that look completely different, or, they have something new about themselves that you like. And all of a sudden, how people view you might become important to you, when really, the only person that should be important to is you. How do you, want to view yourself in a positive light? And I think, comparing yourself to someone who is just built different than you, because no one's built the same. But I think, when you want to achieve something, when you want what they have, it can be hard to remember that being unique and being an individual is incredibly important. And that's what should really matter, not, comparing yourself to someone who is completely different from you.
I have to agree with Janae on that. Like for me, especially, at least like when I was in elementary school, like when you're kids, you don't really think much about differences. You're just there to like play with everyone. But then once I hit middle school, for sure, especially 8th grade, that was when I was like, I need to look like all of these other people who don't even look like me, and I don't have the same features as them. And the way that my genetics work are nowhere near the same as anyone that's around me. And for me to come to realize that, I'm beautiful the way that I am and I'm unique the way that I am, and that's perfectly fine, didn't happen until really recently. And I think that it's really important for us to really especially talk about this, because it's something that, as much as we don't want to talk about it or don't realize it, it affects our mental health and affects us every single day, even if it's not something that is on our mind like 24/7.
I agree with both of them. I think it really starts like 8th grade. I think it really starts the second that we all get social media, which is usually like in middle school and high school. And, you know, we follow all of our friends and we see all of our friends and we see them, all of the pictures that we post. And we know we look at those pictures and then we look at ourselves and we're like, I'm not like that. Like, I don't look like that. I need to. But what we don't realize is those pictures have been edited for hours and hours and hours. And so we only see the final product. And like, if you were to take off all those filters, they would look just like us. And like Kai said, it takes a while for you to really appreciate yourself, because sometimes it's hard because, you know, and because not only you judge yourself, but also you feel as if other people judge you also. You know, it's just a mindset that we have, you know. We're like taught from such a young age that like certain people look a certain way, you know, like, oh, you want to be pretty, you have to look like this. If you don't want to be pretty, you have to look like this. And I think that is the worst thing in the world, because we all look different and there's nothing wrong with that. It just makes us all more beautiful. And I know I struggled with it too. I clearly don't look like my best friend, you know, like she has blonde hair and blue eyes. And there were times where I wish I looked exactly like that, you know, but, you know, like, especially during this quarantine, you know, it's kind of like I sat down and I was like, I don't look the same as her, but that doesn't mean I'm not beautiful. You know, beauty doesn't have one definition. Beauty has so many different definitions, and believing that it only has one is not like the right mindset. And
Along with that, I feel like it's a point where you have to realize that you're unique in your own way. Like with what she said about not looking like her best friend, blonde hair, blue eyes, you have to realize that not everyone has to fit the stereotype. Like not everyone has to be the perfect size, the perfect shape. This fits this mold. It's just, you have to accept, I wouldn't say accept yourself for who you are, because you can be whoever you want to be, but it's just about, you know, just making sure, you know, like that you don't have to force yourself. You don't have to try and be someone that you don't want to be. You have to be who you want to be.
I think, as well as social media and our friends and our peers, another thing that really impacts us that we compare ourselves to are often celebrities or models we see in magazines. And I'll never forget a video I watched years ago. This woman, beautiful on her own, looks just like all of us, anyone would, with no makeup, that kind of thing. And she sits down in a chair, and these makeup artists go and they paint her face. I mean, she looks completely different, like a completely different person than she did when she first began. And they molded her, they fit her to fit the definition of what society thinks is beautiful. And I remember thinking that she was beautiful on her own, beautiful in her own way, unique, that they molded her to fit what the society thinks is pretty. And I think that it's hard to, you know, not compare yourself when society is shouting in your face that, well, this is what pretty looks like, so you should look like them. You know, you have to remember that, you know, beauty, like Akansha said, has multiple different definitions, and beauty is what you make it. Beauty is you, you know, and it's all about loving yourself and loving who you are, who you're going to be, not what someone else looks like.
Do you think, you know, this is great content, first of all, great discussion. I'm hearing the word like judging, like there seems to be a lot of inaccurate paradigms, some people making judgments based on whatever social media or social acceptances. What are your thoughts around this word being judgmental around body image? And is there anything at your schools right now? Is there anything to like support, or where this is discussed in school, or is it just kept quiet?
I think that the word judgment, based off of like competition in anything and just comparing yourself in all different aspects of life, and that all comes down to judging each other and making sure that you measure up to what you deem as your standards to other people. And everybody has different standards, I guess you could say. and what they perceive as perfect. So your perfect is not their perfect. And that's just sort of how all this judgment comes. And in terms of like school, I feel like there's always an underlying knowledge of competition, just like in school in general, but then you add in body image. And I don't think that's actually addressed, because right now, as we know, everything's so competitive in terms of school. And then you add in also social pressures.
So team, what would you say? Love to hear your thoughts as far as providing a concrete, here's the one thing, my experience, here's the one thing I would suggest we work on. Because I heard one thing, I think it was a coach who said, beauty doesn't have one definition. That was powerful for me. But what would you say for the group, for our listeners, as far as one thing you would suggest to help provide value in this discussion around body image and comparisons? Just one thing.
Be you. You're the only person that you answer to. You don't have to answer to others. So give yourself an answer that makes you happy.
I would say that everybody views everyone, or the way you view yourself is different than the way people view you. So just keep that in mind, because while you may not meet what you deem as perfect, you are perfect in other people's eyes.
Probably just, this is kind of a quote from a long time ago, but just be comfortable in the skin that you're in. Yeah. I think that's like, even in my life, that's always been just a big factor. Just to remind yourself, you just got to think about it sometimes. Like, think about really how important is this to you? Like, how far are you willing to go to look like this person? So, and I just feel like you have to remind yourself sometimes, just take a step back and just look at yourself, look at how far you've come, and look what you need to do to be the best version of yourself that you can be. Nice.
I would say, remember that unique is beautiful. So you don't want to look like everyone else. You don't want to look like, what society deems as pretty. You want to break out of that, do your own thing, be your own person. I think being an individual, being, that unique is stunning in and of itself.
Nice. Well, guys, you brought a lot of wisdom and great thoughts, suggestions to the table. And it did it in somewhat of a simplistic way, not simplistic, but not simple, but simplistic, be you, be comfortable in your own skin. Nothing like, it's within us. I know sometimes it's easier to say, but really appreciate your thoughts, comments, and just, I'm very confident some of the wisdom you shared is going to be extremely helpful for some of our listeners. So guys, thank you so much. Appreciate you all. And we'll see you soon. Okay. Take care. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe to Realiteen Talks on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify, and leave a review or comment. We'd love to hear from you.